welcome back. Banks versus Davis on this Sunday morning, early in the morning. We haven't been this early in a while. We've done it a few times, but thank you all for tuning in. Some quick news aside, I was on the Oddball with Vint Forte podcast this past week, so go ahead and check that out. Check out last week's episode. Check out all the episodes in our archives. Thank you all for tuning in. Gonna be a short episode this week. Not too much to talk about. Gonna be very wrestling heavy. And then we'll be back next week with a full slate of topics. But before we get into the wrestling, there was some Hollywood news. And this goes back to me pointing out, look who's involved in these movies before you expect them to be good right off the bat. Because the Ballerina movie, the John Wick spinoff starring Ana de Armas, was pushed back a full year. And there were talks that there were some reshoots. And I just watched a clip of Ian McShane, who starred in all of the John Wick franchise films. He was on this British TV show, and they asked him about it. Thank you, Tristan. Yeah, again, yesterday was my birthday, so thank you everyone who wished me a happy birthday. I'm 29 now. But Banks, you're gonna like this. Ian McShane said these aren't reshoots; these are new shoots. He said,
"Oh, he actually admitted it." Like
said
Marvel.
Yeah, he said, nah, he said the action is being completely redone by Chad Stahelski, who did all the John Wick films. And he's like, it has to be up to the standard of the John Wick franchise before this movie comes out. And I'm like, damn, he's spitting, because he said these aren't reshoots, these are new shoots. And again, the director of this film is Len Wiseman, who did the Underworld films, Live Free or Die Hard, the Total Recall reboot. But again, his style of action is very C grade level. And that's what I said when he was announced to take over this project. I'm like, you don't hand this guy something that has John Wick attached to it, because he's not on that caliber. He's not on that level. But that's Hollywood in a nutshell. I mean, you just said Marvel. I know X and Van have talked about the Captain America movie being completely redone. And there were talks yesterday that Lionsgate, who's in charge of the John Wick franchise, they also might be interested in rebooting the American Psycho movie, which
I saw that.
Doesn't make any sense, because I love the original American Psycho, like most white men.
You want to elaborate on why?
I think it's the text in itself speaks to it, in terms of wanting to have a lot of money, wanting to have a nice apartment, wanting to look good. It just taps into that part of straight white men who aspire to have this perfect version of themselves. I mean, even though the writer Brady Snellis is a gay man, I think he was able to tap in to what most straight white men wanted at that time, especially in the 80s, the height of the cocaine era and the height of Wall Street, and looking a certain way, dressing a certain way, and what having money said about yourself, but also what else about you said something. I mean, Fight Club is the end of that, when it's like, the more you own, the more empty you are. But the whole point of American Psycho is he is basically what he has. He's mad that Jared Leto has a better apartment, he's mad that the other guy has a better business card. He's mad that he gets mistaken for the guy with a worse haircut, and because they wear the same glasses and they go to the same barber. It's something like that, where it really taps into that instinct of, I don't want to say like male dominance, but I guess it is male dominance at the end of the day. Because everyone who watches is like, this is a movie made for white men, and of course it is. But and funny enough, it's directed and written, I believe, by a woman. I think Mary Herron directed and wrote the film based on Brady Snellis' book.
Yeah, I've seen American Psycho, I want to say twice. Nah, more than that. I'm not going to sit up here and lie. I've seen it several times, all right? I think me and you talked about it. Oh, no, me and Amp talked about it. It was like, was it supposed to be like a dream?
The whole idea is like, it's supposed to be a comedy, but it's a horror film still. And yeah, is it supposed to be a dream? He's unreliable, because he himself, he doesn't know who he is. Therefore, everything he's seen or done might not have existed. It is a trip, but again, it's to the point where like when you're so into yourself, nothing else around you might exist at all. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be a commentary on that. I think they cut out certain sections of the book that they thought wouldn't translate well to the film, but the idea that no one believes anything he's saying, and the whole Paul Allen's, not to spoil, again, to spoil a 20-year-old movie, but he kills Jared Leto, and they're like, I just hung out with Jared Leto's character, Paul Allen. And it's a lot of like, so did he just imagine that? But the movie alludes to that the whole time, where he's not taking his medication. He is clearly someone who was unwell, and is kind of like a failstone in a way, because Reese Witherspoon's character says like, your father got you that job, you can get any job. It's a guy, and he says to himself, like, he's trying to fit in. He knows he's kind of like a fuck up, or someone who has something wrong with him, that he is just trying to fit in, as he says. So, but to remake that, and are you still going to have it take place in the 80s? Because I don't know if we need more nostalgic content like that. You can't really, or you really shouldn't, I say, update it, but I guess you can. I don't want, maybe they can find a way to update it for the 2020s. But
I think you would have to do it in the 80s. You can't do that in the 2010s because he'll be on TikTok. Or they can make it that way, where he's on TikTok or he start going viral online and people is talking about this crazy ass dude. Because you can make it as if, damn, I might have gave him the plot away and we don't even know the plot. But basically they can make it like, oh, he's going this crazy dude going around town killing people. We just gonna put it on social media, but the cops can't find him, which would be asinine because of social media. But if they played it that way, that'd actually be fire. I can't even hold you.
Well, that's the thing. It's like every time he commits a murder, something happens right after that kind of acknowledges it. Like he has the bloody sheets at the laundromat. Like, again, that would definitely be reported today. He has the bag where he's moving the dead body, and I think it's dragging blood along with it. Like, clearly that would be an indicator, like, hey, what's up with this guy? And it's that thing, like, yeah, how would you? It worked for the 80s, also for the Huey Lewis bit, the Whitney Houston, like, it was trapped in its 80s nostalgia of technology and music, and like he was walking to the office playing Walking on Sunshine in his headphones on his Walkman, I think. And it's like, I said this once before, I don't know if I ever said it on here, but I feel like every movie that opens up with Walking on Sunshine, something bad happens to the character right after the music stops. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everything's good, Walking on Sunshine is playing, and then the music stops, and it's like, your father's dead. I feel like that happens in a lot of movies.
I feel like it has happened before too.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think of which
one.
I just remember really that, well, you know, the optimism of that song being on like the babies, like the Huggies commercials. I remember it was on that. Like during the 90s and like I think the early 2000s. But I know in the 90s definitely it was on there because during the soap opera time slot they would play it.
But no, it was that, and a girl I was with one time, she had seen a tweet where they're like, how come in the movies, whenever someone's made a full breakfast, someone always comes in and says, oh, I don't have enough time to eat, I gotta go. So then that breakfast just sits there uneaten. And then this girl and I went to go see The Kingsman, The Golden Circle, and that literally happens in that same movie. And I had told her, like, the reason it happens is because the character says they're always too busy, and that's what happens. Like, his girlfriend says, like, I made breakfast, and it's a nice spread and eggs. He's like, oh, I gotta go to the shop, I don't have enough time to eat. Like,
is this the one woman with the wig situation?
I can neither confirm nor deny. You and Eve love that story. You and Eve love that story.
Because women wigs falling off is always hilarious.
It didn't happen. I was bracing for it to happen. I'll specify it that way. Yeah, that is true. Vin, the use of Salisbury Hill is about that, but that was the thing going around.
My fault. Go ahead.
No, I said that was what Tristan just said. That was the consensus yesterday, is that people feel like Glenn Howerton, based off his portrayal of Dennis Reynolds on Always Sunny, would be the perfect Patrick Bateman because he basically plays Patrick Bateman on that show.
But what if they want to go younger? Again, I think, all right, so if I were to fantasy book this movie, it takes place now. I'm going younger, obviously for the reasons that we said, like a young guy, like the motivation should be the Kardashian dude. What was the one that got the kids with Courtney?
Scott Disick?
Yeah, that should be they.
You don't remember when Scott Disick starred in the parody of American Psycho for the Yeezus commercial?
Yeah, because they should actually, they should actually sign him up to start being Kanye.
Kanye is gonna be playing Dr. Doom, all right, with that mouth, that metal mouth. He's gonna be playing Dr. Doom. You know what I mean? He didn't do the ting 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 like I thought when I heard him talk when he had those metal teeth in, but still, he's gonna be playing Dr. Doom at this rate.
Yeah, we'll see who's going to be playing that. I like how people fantasy, and I mean it's fun. People fantasy book these people that they want to play these characters in the Marvel movies, and then they go to total opposite. They go to full 180, but like, nah, we're gonna get like Cuba Gooding Jr. to play Dr. Doom.
Who should Cuba Gooding Jr. play? Professor Xavier?
He should do nothing but go to rehab. Something wrong with him.
Oh my God, you took it that far. Sheesh.
Do you see him? He everywhere but at home. Breakdance, always sweaty. He got this glare in his eye, dog. He is not well.
Well, I think he's not been well for a long time. So.
By the way, if anybody wants to know why I'm not on camera, because I didn't like how last week's episode looked. And besides that, I always like Davis to get his shine anyway. So until I get this camera situated and microphone, I won't be on camera. And it helps me produce better anyway. And I don't like to be on camera. So if you want to see me, stop being weird, number one. And then number two, just go to my IG.
But to round this up, I mean, the Hollywood go-tos are going to be looked at for this role potentially, like Barry Keoghan, who's the Joker in the Batman reboot.
Hell no. He's a good actor, but hell no.
But no, he already plays this guy over and over again. He just played this guy in Saltburn. He played it in Killing of a Sacred Deer. Jacob Elordi might be looked at for this role because, again, he plays Nate Jacobs on Euphoria, which is very Patrick Bateman inspired.
Actually, that's a real good pick. I like that one.
Austin Butler might be in this role because, again, he's Hollywood's golden child. That seems like it'll be a lot of the Hollywood go-tos, I imagine, for this role. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm just not looking forward to. But then people are right saying that creativity died a decade ago or 2 decades ago in Hollywood when they're remaking movies like this. But I mean, there's a bigger problem. I mean, we just talked about how the Jurassic World or Park. Again, I still don't know what they're calling it. The one that was that David Leitch was going to direct. He dropped out, and now Gareth Edwards is attached. Gareth Edwards, who did Rogue One, and the creator is now going to take over this project. And I feel bad because he's signing up again for something that's not going to work out, and he's going to get blamed for it because the whole idea of him making the creator was him making his version of Rogue One that didn't get put on the screen, but also about speaking to the AI take over the world and technology take over the world.
You just gave away the plot too. I mean, obviously we don't have any undisclosed news. They haven't said the plot, but if they're going that route, I'm pretty sure, which is the only route they can go. Like I just talked about it with Amp. You got to go stupid. You got to go like literally stupid. You got to do something that you haven't done before. So if they're going that route, let's just say this. Maybe they're making it like mechanical or AI, like dinosaurs. You got to go that route.
I mean, the whole idea of how they build the dinosaurs is they rebuilt them in the lab. So why would you try to make mecha dinosaurs? Is that what you're trying to suggest? You mean like
what else can you do? I mean, Universal owns the rights to Transformers, so that's basically like Beast Wars 2.
No, that's Paramount. That does. Yeah.
All right. Well, still the concept remains, bro. Let's just go that route because is it even coming out next year? I slated it for 2025, but
yeah, they said it, but what movie just got pushed back? Oh fuck! That's because the movies of it, like I said, the ballerina spinoff got pushed back. They moved the Bong Joon-ho, Robert Pattinson movie, Mickey 17, from March of this year to January of next year, and
For?
everyone got pissed about that because they're thinking that Warner Brothers might not like how this movie turned out, and Bong Joon-ho won the Oscar for Parasite, and this is his follow-up to that, so they're kind of feeling like maybe they were misled by what he was trying to do with this movie. But if anything, as we've seen in this year, that the January movie slate actually did kind of well, and the February slate is what's been killing Hollywood at the start of 2024, because Beekeeper and Mean Girls and maybe one other movie kicked off January and they were successful. And then February gets started and it's Argyle, Madam Web. And the Bob Marley movie did make money, but there's nothing that came out yesterday.
No.
Yeah. So that's thing. So I think maybe Warner Brothers is trying to read the future and think like this movie that might flop will do better in January when there's nothing else going on. Or they're really trying to make that. I don't even think that's a last second awards push, because you have to. The Oscar nominations come out in January, so yeah.
Well, what they could do is put it out digitally November, December, and then put it out in theaters in January if they want to cheat it.
Yeah, the early screenings, the submitted for award show screenings, yeah.
If they want to cheat the system that way, because next year that Michael Jackson movie won't be able to make it till 2026 for the Oscars if it gets nominated for an Oscar. Which I guess they're not aiming for one, because if you would, you probably should put that out in December as well.
Fuck, I'm trying to remember when Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it was like a September or October.
Yeah, it was.
And again, it won Oscars crazily. It won for best editing. It's just one of the worst edited movies I've ever seen.
Bruh, those camera cuts when they was in the studio making Bohemian Rhapsody pissed me off.
No, there's one of the best YouTube videos of all time is the one scene where they have lunch with the guy who's going to manage them, and it cuts from him turning a chair, all three guys reacting, and then him sitting in the chair. Then it cuts to Freddie Mercury. It's insane. Like, I'm going to throw up. Like, what am I like? The coverage of this doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah, no, most definitely. I never understood that. I was like, okay, and I just talked about it with biopics recently. I talked about shouts out to Reggae Boys. I was on the episode. I'll be on the episode tomorrow. I'll say that.
Did you talk about the Bob Marley movie?
Yeah, because I'll say it here for anybody that's interested in seeing it. Just see it. I don't know if people was trying to go for like a masterpiece biopic, but that's not how it works for Bob Marley's story. Not saying he's not complex, but the dude had a simple concept of life. I want to make music. I want to love you, and I want peace. That's it. So the acting was good. The acting was actually pretty good, really good.
That was the only good thing I heard about it from the movie podcast I listened to, is that Kingsley Benadir, who's a great actor, he killed it as Bob Marley, and Lashana Lynch, she was great as his wife. But they were like, yeah, they're like, everything other than that was terrible about the movie.
Yeah, it's only so much you could say about somebody. I think they shouldn't have cut it down. It should have been like an hour and 20, hour and 30, to be honest.
Well, it's Ric Flair's birthday today.
Okay.
And days ago, they announced the Ric Flair biopic, which we don't need. We don't want. And if you want this because you saw Iron Claw and you want more wrestling biopics, then you're a fucking idiot. Because even if you're a wrestling fan, you should know the Rick Story Flair in and out by now, because there have been countless WWE produced documentaries about Ric Flair for about 20 years now. There's also nothing. Go ahead.
Not to cut you off, I'm sorry. In the past, let's say 10 years alone, it's been 30 for 30s. It's been Amazon biopics, or not Amazon, but it's been 30 for 30. And then I feel like it was one more biopic.
Peacock one. But again, that's WWE produced, the one that was on Peacock, that series. But it's like, yeah, like,
he's done interviews. Story. He's done countless interviews in the past year alone. His interview with Shannon Sharp is probably his best one ever. And that's saying a lot.
I still got to finish the Johnny Manziel Shannon Sharp interview.
That one was really good.
I just can't listen to Shannon Sharp for too long, even though he doesn't do too much talking, he's great at letting his guests talk. But I just can't listen to Shannon Sharp talk for too long. Is what it's always been. His accent's just it's always been too strong for me, especially after Jay Farrow did his great impression. We did when we were playing the football, we were like Jay Farrow had a great Shannon Sharp.
Davis, Davis, let me tell you something.
JB, when the quarterback, he's like,
come on, man, Zale, come on, man. Yeah. No,
Johnny,
cut that out now, Johnny. But he's a great interviewer too.
No, he is.
No, like if you can. Yeah, he gets. Well, obviously outside. I'm sorry to cut you off. Yeah. Obviously, to get a pop out of people outside of these interviews and getting heat with people, that tells you everything you need to know because he's doing his job well, and it's not him that's drawing the heat. It's more so the people that's talking. That's how you know he's good because he can get stuff out of people. But the fact, like you said, he sits there, he listens, and he asks the right question. Like, Ric Flair, again, has done countless interviews for the past fucking 10 years alone. All right, let's not even go over his illustrious career. So for Shannon Sharp to get the best, because it was information I didn't even know about. Like, we knew he recently found out what his actual first name is, and he was born in Memphis. But the information he was getting,
of his adoption, yeah,
but to get other information about him, like, outside of wrestling, inside of wrestling. And I hate, obviously they didn't do it on purpose. He just asking the question. But every time you see that man cry about his son, it's like fucking heartbreaking. Yeah. But this one right here, it's like, damn, bro. Because, you never get over that. Let me not sit up here and act like I know, even though I'm not a parent. But it's been years later. But for him to cry like that on his interview, that's how you know the question really hit. And he asked the question. He didn't come out straight up and like, what about your son's death? He just asked him, do you feel any responsibility?
It's like I had listened to him because last year when the writer strike was happening, the late night show hosts got together: Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, and John Oliver, and they did the podcast series for The Ringer. And Stephen Colbert had talked about some of the worst prep that they had done, and just in terms of not being properly prepped when asking, I guess, someone. And I think Stephen Colbert had said someone was not aware that his mom had just passed. He's like, there was a worse example when Bill Murray was at a Cubs game about to sing the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" for the 7th inning stretch with Harry Carey, and and Harry Carey's like, no, he's hang on, no, it gets better. Hang on, this is the setup. And Bill Murray's mom had just passed away, and Harry Carey said, "Hey, Bill, how's your mom?" And Bill Murray goes, "She just passed away, Harry." And Harry goes, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." And then Bill Murray goes, "Dad's dead too, Harry." And then Harry Carey just doesn't say anything. And then Bill Murray's like, "Did you ever hear about that guy, John F. Kennedy, Harry?"
I wish you would have did a better Harry Carey impersonation if you can do it.
I can only do Will Ferrell's Harry Carey. He's like, "Atlanta's a beautiful city." When he's like,
that's good enough.
When he's like, "Have you ever been to a baseball game? I had and eating a hot dog. I've had about 12." Like, it's like Atlanta's got great pitching with Tom Glavine and John Smoltz. That's the only Harry Carey I can do is Will Ferrell's great Harry Carey impression. But yeah,
should Will Ferrell play Ric Flair?
Yes, based off his Eastbound and Down character, Ashley Schaefer.
He could be the older one. Because now that we're talking about this, you're right. I'm on your side. We don't need it, but do we want it? Yeah. One need is two different things. Shouts out to Drake and Lil Baby. But it's like, I want it, pause, but I don't need it. Because it's like, this is like that Michael Jackson realm. Like, how do you play somebody like this?
It was one thing off that Iron Claw clip.
It's
no one can play this guy. It's impossible.
It's just like you had to get a family member to play Michael Jackson. In this case, you got to get a family member to play Ric Flair. I don't know if he got cousins or anything, or younger cousins. I doubt it, or any younger people in his family, but still, because you can't.
I actually thought you were going to say Andrade was going to play Ric Flair. I'm like, I can't stand.
Now that'd be fucking hilarious, but he gotta learn how to read first.
Okay. He can read. All right. It's just his own language. All right. You know, I couldn't read Spanish.
In the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, bullshit. He don't know how to read, bro.
But
that's bullshit.
That's bullshit. But
great
but
compilation on YouTube as well.
Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger saying bullshit.
Yeah, that's how you know you're a legend when people just quote. You got one word and people just make a compilation on YouTube.
That was probably one of the best. That's probably one of the easiest words. That like you wanted to learn that. I want to learn this word. I want to learn that word. But no, I mean
he could play Gunther in the future, or Gunther could play Arnold Schwarzenegger if they make a movie.
No, he's too tall. Arnold Schwarzenegger's like 5'11", which is crazy.
So now we picking on 5'11" people. So now I'm the problem.
I'm 5'7", so what do you mean?
No, but that's the thing is when you 5'7", it's cool. But when
okay, here we go.
5'7" is acceptable. When you 5'11", women be like, you can't get 2 inches taller. Yeah, just look down, honey. Woo!
Okay. That's the thing. It's like, I mean, people are right to point out that we don't need the story of Ric Flair based on how he is regarded today as a sex pest. And that this will definitely be a movie that skips over that aspect of his life, which goes to the point of what
that's most of his life.
No, it is because again, the Bob Marley movie touched on his white women.
Yeah, I mean you said women, quote unquote women. Now, that's just white women. It's others. He was the biggest draw of that time, as far as a lead, as far as looks. Let's just say that. Cause it's like, all right, you gonna sleep with the lead singer of Led Zeppelin around that time? It's like, I guess so. Just because I could say there's somebody grandmother right now, great grandmother, like I slept with the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. But there's some women out there like, damn, I slept with Bob Marley. That was fire. Pause. Cause he was a draw. Women like how you look. Obviously, if you got fucking 15 kids, that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
It wasn't about money. He was making money, but he wasn't making Led Zeppelin money, not pocket counting. So it had to be something, all right?
No, I agree. I mean, that's the whole point of why ugly men get into music, is to get women. The guy who was the lead singer for the Cars said, I wouldn't be with my model girlfriend if I wasn't a rock star.
All right,
he was self-aware to know that.
If podcasters were making money, they can be over like that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that happen to streamers, like gamers. They started getting good-looking women because of the money they were making off of playing video games.
Name some, please.
No, there was that one guy who like dumped his good-looking girlfriend or whatever. It was, and I'm saying it can happen, but it's not unlikely as it was back in the day. You know, they go where the money resides, as that guy said. So, but to bring it on the Ric Flair thing, it's like, you have to make it really about a certain point in his life. I like when we've talked about biopics a lot this year, and I said, you can't do beginning of life to end of life. You're smarter to pick on a certain aspect of their life. Like the Ric Flair movie should really be focused, and I always say this, about a man surviving a plane crash and then going on to be Ric Flair. Because that's the whole point of the Ric Flair story. Is like the plane crash is before he becomes the Ric Flair that we know of the 80s. It basically kickstarts it.
Yeah.
So that's like, you spend the first 20 minutes about, Richard Flair, the guy who was, the outcast, the black sheep in his own family, struggling with his identity, gets into wrestling because he has no other choice. And then he thinks he's about to make it, this plane crash happens. But realistically, this plane crash, it turns him to the biggest draw that isn't Hulk Hogan of the 1980s. And that's crazy when you think about his career in terms of, wow. I mean, men lost their lives. Other guys, were paralyzed for the rest of their lives. But like, he was able to survive a broken back, walk again, but not just walking, like become the greatest pure wrestler of the 80s in America. But again, no one's gonna be able to capture that energy. No one's gonna be able to mimic that performance. I'm like Ryan Gosling. I think he could. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Gosling fan, but when you watch him as Ken, you see a little bit of like that woo energy he has. But yeah, I don't know anyone who could get to that level. The guy in the Iron Claw, I mean, I saw that clip. It was just like, what is this fucking Degrassi? What are we watching? Huh?
I like that idea, what you said. And here's my counter idea to that. If they really want to be serious about this, open up the movie as soon as the credits start rolling or the opening credits with the title card, play his music, play that. Then we get to the crash scene. From the crash scene, you can just do it like before he got to the crash, like, you know, his childhood, etc. Then we can get back to the crash scene, and then they can make it like this is some like resurrection of him, and then from there start to get into his story. Now, the length of the movie, how serious you want to take it, it would have to be 2 hours, 220, something like that, depending on how serious you want to be. I don't think Hollywood is taking this serious. I mean, A24 is behind it and The Rock, so they might take it very serious. Just because, you know, he chose the right person. Obviously, I like what he said because people don't understand The Rock's character. He said it. It's a mixture of, I'll say it best, it's Ric Flair mixed with rap, if that makes sense. And essentially, a lot of rappers said Ric Flair influenced them, but he was just Ric Flair in the 90s turned up to 10, like with the R&B clothes and the way he was talking. It was like rap lyrics, but it was mixed with Ric Flair. And I think that's why we like it so much, being that character for people my age, because the dude was our Ric Flair. Even though Stone Cold was right fucking there, The Rock was our Ric Flair because it's like, damn, bro, I want that type of like Versace outfits and shit like that. And the way he was talking. And then obviously he was shit. You want to talk about somebody being a draw with the women. Me as a jit, seeing these women is, I mean, everything is a 360. I mean, that's not his relative, but it went from that Samoan, half Samoan, to another half Samoan being Roman Reigns. And now I got people in my family that don't even watch wrestling. They hit me up like, yo, who is this Roman Reigns dude? But them same women, when we was younger, they were watching the Raw or SmackDown because they like, yo, The Rock about to come on. Yeah. So he was our Ric Flair back then. So obviously they're taking the movie serious. And again, The Rock said he did actually grow up with this dude. So this ain't one of the times where The Rock just working people.
No,
so, man, Rocky Johnson
his biggest influence. Yeah, his biggest influences as a kid were Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair. He basically had said that, like, those are the guys he looked up to and loved watching the most.
And he was around them too, so.
But that's the thing that pisses me off again. Like, I've been cooling down on my Rock hatred the last couple of weeks, even though I'm not liking what's going on. But this was like, all right, I'm back in. Like, he wants to get in on producing the Ric Flair movie because the Iron Claw did so well. And I know he was asked about the Iron Claw, like on Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan had to do. He's like, this is a crazy story, right? A family of wrestlers just dying. They all died except one. That's a crazy story, right? And Rock's like, yeah, that is it's a crazy story. This business. I mean, my dad was in this business. My father, his father, my grandfather, like, you know, and now, yeah, it really happened, Joe. It really happened. Yeah. I mean, you know, like, and now he's like trying to get on the Ric Flair version. And that's what I'm going to hate the most is that, and this isn't trying to gatekeep wrestling. It's Hollywood now seeing an avenue with these stories that we've already known be recycled for the mainstream. It's not to keep wrestling underground. It's like they're going to cut out the most important shit like all biopics do. Again, like they're not going to talk about Ric Flair doing this or Ric Flair doing that. And this really even shouldn't cover like post WCW, for being honest. Like, this movie should kind of end at Starrcade 93 when he makes his comeback and he wins the world title from Vader. That shit where he puts his career on the line again. Like they should have a start and an end point in terms of a point in a man's life, not his entire life. Because am I going to want to see them try to capture Ric Flair in 2004? Do I want to see them try to recapture Ric Flair in 2010 in TNA? Like, it's. Again, that's what we have YouTube for. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's just been announced. I don't know even if there's a writer or a director. attached to it. Again, there's definitely not an actor because that'll be like the big news of who is playing Ric Flair. And Ric Flair is probably going to try to give his co-sign, but then get mad when the guy doesn't do a good job. Yeah, this project is going to cause, and again, the Vince McMahon element. Are they going to include Vince McMahon in this movie? Because again, he worked for Vince McMahon when he was in between WCW for a period of time, and then after, obviously, WCW folded. So there's a lot of elements that they can choose to leave in or leave out of this story that I'm just ultimately, at the end of the day, not as interested in, just based on our knowledge. And I know everyone who watches wrestling isn't a complete historian or doesn't know everything or isn't aware of everything, which is why wrestling Twitter's a shit show, but still. And that'll lead me to wrestling this week, because there was a lot of stuff that pissed me off about wrestling this week, all over, from WWE to AEW to New Japan. And I don't know really where I should start in terms of like how bad the booking's been in all three of these companies. Banks, you and I have been talking about how Tony Khan's trying to outdo Triple H, and then Triple H is trying to outdo Tony Khan in terms of stupidity. But then over in New Japan, Ghetto is like, you think you guys are stupid. It's funny, I just rewatched the Dexter's Laboratory clip, which was one of my favorite clips from childhood, when they had the kids take over for an episode, and the kid was like, "You are stupid. You are so stupid." That's all these bookers right now. What do you think about the booking as of late in all three companies, and where do you think the company, which company is struggling the most in your opinion right now? Oh, hang on. It's just getting so situated, because I'm saying this because we are on the road to WrestleMania for WWE, and the whole Cody Rhodes, The Rock situation is self-inflicted. That's the number one catalyst of what the hell were you trying to do with this? You had an undeniable babyface. Sure, you made him more undeniable, but you didn't have to go this route with it, because it ruined the goodwill of what The Rock was going to potentially do with Roman Reigns in the future. And then other details, like Elimination Chamber was a good show. It wasn't the best show. It wasn't better than the last show, like everyone says it does. Every week, every month, this show's better than the last. Blah, 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 all that bullshit. And I like and respect people in wrestling media, but sometimes I don't know if it's because
you better than me.
No, because at the end, I respect. I'm okay.
Go ahead. Take your time.
No, because everyone knows how like you said it earlier, you're a curmudgeon. I'm a hater. I don't like anything except the stuff I like, which is the point. If I'm going to spend time watching something, I'm obviously going to talk about the bad as much as I'm going to talk about the good. And I do talk about the good. But when the bad is bad, I'm not choosing to ignore it just so I can act like it doesn't exist. And I think a lot of the times people and their platforms do that because they worry about offending potential relationships, partnerships, whatever it is, access, backlash from fans of that company. Again, like if you like AEW and you speak bad about AEW, then you don't really like it or you don't know shit. If all you see in good in WWE, then you're a shill. And all this is accurate. Again, there's a point to being both-sidist to an extent. I've been watching a lot of Jon Stewart lately, and I never really realized how influenced I am by him, because he is right to say like Fox News is a horrible, shitty news platform. But he's also like CNN doesn't always get it right either, you know. So,
oh, this is where I jump in. Cool, thank you. You know how I get when it comes to politics. So, wrestling is on the same spectrum as it. You got the heel, you got the baby face. Brother, let me sound like him today, brother. Y'all gonna figure out who's the heel and who's the baby face this year. Cast your vote. Never mind, because then it's gonna really get bad for this podcast. We're gonna get some new subscribers, but it's gonna be the subscribers we don't want.
But no, I'll tell everyone to go watch Jon Stewart's Return to the Daily Show, and he talks about how how Joe Biden and and Donald Trump, the rematch of 4 years ago is even worse because much like wrestling, a rematch 4 years later when everyone's older is not good for the greater world.
and this is the year to rematch. I didn't even think about that. You're right. This is the year to rematch. We got a dude who, and we'll get to it in a second, a dude who I think shouldn't be the face of your company. And I don't believe in give this person a chance type bullshit. No, get the fuck out of here. Hey, it's been a dude for 10 plus years, especially in the past 4 years, gets a t-shirt every month and then move units. Hey, in the words of the great Jay-Z, only people moving units is M Juice and us. And right now, that's everybody associated with that t-shirt. But we'll get to there. Other than that, yeah, this is the year to rematch, and I think about it. But if y'all want the finish the story, we're going to see that in November.
It's not even that, again, because like I said, so you set this. I've just been repeating myself the last few weeks. Like, this guy can't win because all your hard work of breaking this record goes to waste. He loses, and then what the fuck was the last 2 months? What was all this stuff with The Rock for then? What was all this stuff with Seth Rollins? Again, like, Seth Rollins has to go on the Grayson Waller effect to say his knee is almost cleared. Motherfucker, that doesn't make sense. Your back is still bad. You're not cleared at all.
It doesn't, and also it's like, okay, cool. So your knee is cleared, but then what happened to this whole ACL bullshit that just happened like a month ago? Like, that's not how it works.
That's what he's trying to say. Like, it's clear enough to do what he was doing, which is wrestle at 45%.
30% now if you start wrestling. Shit, maybe 20. You was already doing more chops than Ric Flair at 60 years old. Am I tripping? Am I taking crazy pills? It's like, bro, chop, pedigree, high spot, chop, barely can hit the ropes.
Yeah, it was the amp who just said guys gotta stop doing the pedigree because they can't do it right.
At all. It's like one dude was able to do the pedigree, but he was a great worker, but he couldn't talk.
No, he wasn't.
So y'all want to be him? He wasn't. We're gonna talk about that.
No.
We're gonna talk about that.
Earl.
He was a hell of a worker, but he just couldn't talk.
But and then Cody Rhodes calls out The Rock because he says, "I got time." Cody Rhodes said he was wide open, and that was one of the only times where I was like, "Wait a second." Whoa.
I had to leave a comment under WWE, which I rarely do under that post. I said, "Wide open, that's crazy." And I quoted Mason, people start reacting to it. And I didn't do that to get a reaction to people. I'm just immature, and I've been hearing pause for 20 years. So anytime I hear something, I'm just like, whoa. Like, go back to our episodes years ago. We was all saying that's crazy and pause. This ain't nothing new.
Yeah, but no, that's the only time where I did like the wait. Remember John Cena? Settle it down, young man. Settle it down.
Fine speech.
But saying you're wide open. The Rock is not making time for Cody Rhodes. That's what I said a month ago. Like, this guy wasn't coming back to wrestling to face Cody Rhodes. He can't. Facing Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins is like, remember what Drake said? Fuck it. Somebody got to do it. Might as well do it.
And then who gonna carry the match? Like, bro, go back and watch that conference, everybody. You see The Rock, right? And you see Cody Rhodes, and he has to look down on Cody Rhodes. No disrespect. Like, bro, that Cody Rhodes, all right, he got some size to him. Pause. But The Rock is The Rock, bro.
Got some size on you. Look at you.
Like, bro, he is taller and in about the same weight class or I think he's the same weight as Roman Reigns, but he made Roman Reigns look like a cruiserweight.
Well, so what does that tell you? We know. We know why.
Hey, brother, let me tell you something. That Samoan genetics and Rocky Johnson being your father, yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I mean, but still, you got them three combinations. Essentially, this motherfucker's a juggernaut, all right? But still, the tower over.
Is that who he should have played instead of Black Adam?
He did.
No, I'm saying, is that who he should have played? I'm the juggernaut, bitch. Is that who he should have been?
His spots. I'm like, he played his spots on Saturday night on fucking What's that show?
Sad,
I used
that
to like.
70s show, yeah.
Yeah.
When he said, "I will give birth to the most electrifying man in sports entertainment." Yeah.
Well, 20 plus years later, we talking about it. So obviously he was
Uh,
right.
but no, like because Elimination Chamber was yesterday, and a lot of the decisions were fine. I actually thought the Nia Jax Rhea Ripley match was good for what it was. I was actually impressed.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut you off a lot on this. In this section or this segment, I like the entire card because I heard you. I had to leave for a second because technical issues. Again, that's why I'm not on camera until I'm on camera, people. But I actually really like the pay per view.
No, I didn't think it was bad. I just think their pay per views are fine. Everyone always goes, "This was the greatest thing." Again, they go Fox News about it. This is the greatest thing ever.
They said this is the best Elimination Chamber ever.
I wouldn't be surprised if they said that, but they said it was better than the Rumble, and then they said the Rumble was better than Survivor Series, and then they said Survivor Series was better than the show before, and that's again, it just
well, the Rumble wasn't good, so yeah,
exactly, yeah, and again, look at the way, just the fact that they overbook every finish. Bianca Belair gets rolled up by Liv Morgan super quickly. As soon as Liv Morgan turns around, she gets rock bottom by Becky Lynch, and it's like. And Bianca Belair reacts like I should still be in the match. It's just so overbooked. And then the worst was Logan Paul gets to stay in the cage to punch Randy Orton. Like, I always hate when they use the Elimination Chamber like that. Like, that's not how the Elimination Chamber works. You get eliminated, you get the fuck out of there. And first of all, the Elimination Chamber, you could pin on the outside back in the day. Why the fuck have they started rolling people back into the ring when Goldberg would spear a motherfucker through the glass and pin him right there? When did that stop? When they built the shitty new chamber?
That and Logan Paul doesn't know how to sell, but yeah.
He doesn't know how to punch. He hits them with his wrist. I know he's got brass knuckles on, but he does the like he's fucking Vader hitting him with the side of his fucking wrist.
Yeah, he doesn't have a good work punch, and he doesn't know how to sell. And those two things you learn. He
doesn't know how to talk. But everyone's like, I can't believe how great Logan Paul is. So amazing that someone could come in. Like, he wrestles like Dante Martin wrestles, and everyone says Dante Martin only does high spots. That's Logan Paul. I said this a year ago, and no one listened.
No, I remember you did say that because I listened. But I'm saying, wow, I didn't even think about it. It's a year later, and you were right.
Again, everyone thinks he wrestles like Hangman Page. No, he does one move of Hangman Page. He doesn't try to do a fucking slam off the top ropes, the fucking, the sack of shit type of slam that Hangman Page should do. Like, he can't do a lot of Hangman Page's shit, but he wrestles like Dante Martin with all his cross bodies and splashes and high flying moves because they're built the same. He's not fucking built like Hangman Page to wrestle like him.
Well, also, too, his timing is
bad.
It's all over. Yeah, it's all over the place. It's like, all right, hold on, bro. Like, slow down. So it's like, all right, he learned the high spot route. Obviously, he learned from one of the top three greatest in-ring performers of all time, though. But it's like, all right, well, Magic Johnson tried to coach when he's on the Lakers. Dog, everybody ain't gonna be able to read the play and do the pass like you. So I think what Shawn Michaels was teaching him is the best that he could. Like, he does it all NXT talent. I mean, Melo was a prime example of that. Yeah, Melo was a prime example of that. Like, bro, I'm going to teach you all the high spots because obviously that's what wrestling is right now. But the problem is they don't have the psychology as him. Again, he's one of the top 3 greatest workers of all time, being Shawn Michaels. But it wasn't just because of his high spots. He has psychology. Wait a minute, boom, kip up. Or wait a minute, sell, get bladed properly. Like, he does blading the best since Ric Flair. And it's an art to that. With Logan Paul, it's kind of just like, all right, high spot. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna sell for like 2 seconds. Get up, high spot, and then they always put him against bigger acts. Like when he went against Roman Reigns, the match was good, but it was essentially a cruiserweight. Even though Logan Paul ain't built like a cruiserweight, he was a cruiserweight going against a heavyweight.
No, I think he actually is. If you like technically Cody Rhodes, I think is a cruiserweight because he was weighing at 205 for the longest time. Like that was the stupidest thing when they forced him. Well, not they, because Cody Rhodes forced himself to do those weigh-ins for his big matches in AEW to show that he was special. But he would always weigh in at like 203 or 204. I'm like, you would be 205 live if Vince McMahon had his way. So like, calm down.
Yeah, I mean, but we talked about that recently. He was there just to get juice and then make some money for the business, and it's like, all right, cool. But now, because the old man ain't in charge. First of all, again, if the old man was in charge, this
A lot of
rematch
stuff.
ain't happening. Yeah,
No,
this rematch ain't
a
happening.
lot of last night was, or not last night, yesterday morning wouldn't be happening because again, like Drew McIntyre gets made to look weak still because he needed Logan Paul to win the chamber, and it defeats the purpose of
There you go.
they can't make guys or women. Well, no, the only woman who looked strong was fucking Rhea Ripley. Like she gets to beat Nia Jax clean, no help, and with only one riptide. That's like she's the only person in the company who gets made to look strong. Not even Roman Reigns gets made to look that strong because he needs the help from the bloodline still. I'm like,
But you know why?
Go ahead.
The man, you know why? Not to cut you off, but like I said on this segment, we were just talking. But and it's not to make myself look, over. You know why? Because the man in 3H's, that's his darling. And I love his darling too, just like the next man with eyes. And I done seen it in person multiple times. So I understand. But it's the point of that's his darling. That's his Brock Lesnar. Let's just say that. That's his Brock Lesnar. Like how Vince had Brock Lesnar. This is his Brock Lesnar being Rhea. So everybody else is kind of like, I gotta have this guy with the title being John Cena here because he's making me the money, being Roman Reigns. But this is my child right here, and that's all it is.
Yeah. No, again, that's been the biggest case going from NXT UK to NXT proper, and then this last year and a half on the main roster because it wasn't looking good for her at first. Because remember that first title run flopped. Mainly because Vince McMahon was more at the helm than Triple H, but still, he's trying to undo what Vince McMahon did of not making her seem special, not making her have aura, as the kids today say. But that's the thing I get at. Go ahead.
When you got aura, you ain't got to say it. People just see it when you walk in the room. So that's why when she had to do the job, obviously she was too young, but when she had to do the job to Charlotte 4 years ago at that WrestleMania, it's because when Charlotte walked through the door, it ain't just her last name. All right, David Flair wrestled. No disrespect to him because I liked him a crowbar, but it's the point of when you walk in the door. Damn, even if you didn't know her last name, be like, oh shit, that person is special. That's Charlotte Flair.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's buying what the wrestlers are selling in the sense of like the presentation. This is what I just said on Maps and Graphs about David Finlay as the leader of the Bullet Club. I'm like, I don't believe this guy. I look at him. I don't believe a guy who's a badass. I watch him wrestle. He doesn't wrestle like a badass. I hear him talk. He doesn't sound like a badass. I don't believe what you're trying to convince me. And that's the whole point of wrestling. And when people get mad at like, oh, it's so fake. Why do you care so much? Because you're supposed to buy into it like you are into a movie or a show. You're supposed to fall, take the ride, as Stone Cold says. We're taking them on the highs and lows. Take them on the ride. And when you see people miscast in roles or not be who their character is, it's frustrating to see. That's the whole point of like, again, is LA Knight the Rock Stone Cold mixture? Yeah, but he's two guys. He's a guy influenced by those two guys, but he's not those guys at all. No one thinks he's the Rock and Stone Cold.
No, that motherfucker's the ring master and Rocky Maivia. That's who he is.
Exactly. And then when you go over to AEW, it's the same thing. We're like, I get mad at Tony Khan every week because you can't win Booker of the Year and you can't put together a single fucking story that makes sense. You are a matchmaker, sir. I say it time and time out. All you do is make matches. And yes, these matches cook, but you can't tell a fucking story to save your life. And I don't get in on story because one company's about entertainment, one company's about wrestling. No. When guys who don't want to lose get to draw their way out of matches or get DQ'd out of matches to save face, that proves you're a bad booker. When Edge doesn't want to lose to Daniel Garcia, Adam Copeland. When Adam Copeland doesn't want to lose to Daniel Garcia, the match gets DQ'd. Daniel Garcia gets to be the number one contender because Adam Copeland has an injury and doesn't want to and can't face Christian now. When realistically, the story they've been building as Adam Copeland Christian for the third fucking time now, which we don't need. We saw it already. It was fine for what it was. I don't want to see it again. That story's done. Get it out of here. I don't even want to see Daniel Garcia versus Christian, but at least that's something different. But again, Adam Copeland's so scared to put young talent over when he cried on his podcast about not getting to work that young talent. Oh, Jay, if I was there, I'd be working that young talent today. Oh, I miss working that young talent. And then his buddies, FTR, who are scared to lose, so they have to draw with the BCC because they can't look worse than the tougher guys in the company, but then they can beat up on every other tag team and get their way, and then choose to drop the titles when one of them, again, has an injury, but is still wrestling 2 weeks later. Tony Khan, that's what being a bad booker is, when you can't clearly make easy and smart decisions. That's what it is at the end of the day. Or booking the people you sign to lose time in, time out. Not just the Queen Amanat and Brian Keith stuff. Like, yes, you have to give Queen Amanat and Brian Keith an easy win just to have them lose to a bigger name. That's the point of being a booker. Like, if I see the same person who loses week in and week out have a match, am I going to think they're going to win? Like, oh, this will be the time? No, because that's not how wrestling works. Because like that, the whole point of Kofi Mania was they told that story perfectly because he was still winning matches and then having the rug pulled from under him. Right. You have to have people win to still get fucked over and lose in the end, not just lose the whole time.
Yeah. So I'll say this. The thing, I'll give the positives before the negatives. The thing with AEW is, yes, they do sign younger talent. They just don't put them over. And that was the whole point of AEW. Whereas WWE, like I just had a conversation with my friend last night about this. The thing with WWE is we go to the well too many times with stars of yesteryear, but how do we build stars of tomorrow year? And we're in wrestling now where the stars of tomorrow year aren't probably going to be stars of tomorrow year. And if so, it's going to be a 5-year minimum project. NXT has that talent. I mean, obviously some people got called up, but Braun Breaker is a couple year from now project to be the face of the company. Because again, when you have the face of the company, who is probably the most popular wrestler right now being Roman Reigns, you can't just take I'll go back to WWE, transition back to AEW. You can't just put the title on somebody who was yesteryear's potential just because of his last name. Because when he gets the title, it's then, all right, what now? Because with the babyface, the chase is the point of being a babyface, the chase of getting the title, the chase of getting over. So when he finally gets the title, it's like, okay, cool. He got a special moment. He finished his bullshit story. Okay, cool. Okay, where do we go from there? So when he gets the title, then y'all gonna be like, whoa, that run wasn't cool. Or what is he doing now? It's boring. It's the same thing with Kofi Mania. No disrespect. It's like, all right, when the babyface, the lead up was great because it was the chase.
It's what do you do after? That's a story time in and time out. Yeah.
Yeah, because what's going to happen? We already know the next night, if he gets put over, Nakamura comes back because he putting in OT. You want to talk about somebody that want to cash in his PTO or is the PTO king? You're like, God damn, bro, I didn't come to America with all this work. I want to go surf. All right. But that's neither here nor there. That's a yesteryear type guy being Cody Rhodes. I mean, obviously now it's current time, yes. But he ain't young. He ain't no spring chicken. Cut to AEW. They got some young talent they just signed. Shouts out to Brian Keith. Shouts out to Queen Amanat. They sign younger talent. But like Davis is saying, you having them go over in these matches with the local talent, jobbers, no disrespect, or somebody that's on the undercard. But then when they get to the main card, it's like, all right, they just hear the job over.
They don't even get to beat the younger talent anymore because Dark is gone and Dark Elevation is gone. But it's the whole, if you see them on ROH, that's where they're picking up wins. But no, you have to show the national TV audience that Queen Amanat has beaten someone last week. This is why she should be a threat to so-and-so this week. Brian Keith just beat this guy. Here's why he should be a threat to Malachi Black last night. Like, that's how it should work. Like, set the person up with a win. That way, you know, next day, oh, this might actually be competitive because maybe they are pushing him if he picked up 2 wins. That's the whole point of the Daniel Garcia thing, like he said in his promo, which wasn't good because again he's Daniel Garcia. He said all he needed was 1 win in
How
the
does he talk?
I'm not doing that right now, but he said all he needed was 3 seconds to prove himself because that's the thing. He only walked away from 1 win. I mean, with 1 win in the Continental Classic, and then he got to pin Christian a few weeks ago. It's like he pins the guy as the champion, and the New Japan booking is you get that title shot basically. But no, it's because Adam Copeland's injured. He gets a pass on his title shot, which was stupid that the rankings exist. Tony Schiavone asked Adam Copeland, who do you want to face? Adam Copeland, Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston, or Christian Cage? And Adam Copeland had to say, well, Roderick Strong's already faced Orange Cassidy, and Bryan Danielson just challenged Eddie Kingston. So I guess that leaves one option open for me. It's like, again, am I taking crazy pills? It's like, why have rankings and why set up matches in advance? And then why have interviews to say who you want to face if there are 2 matches already made just now? Like, it doesn't, again, people get mad at me for picking on him. He deserves to get picked on if it doesn't make sense. Like, the whole point of Wardlow's promo this week was, I've been badly booked and the people in the back should be jailed for that. It's like, so the guy who approved this promo says go out there and make fun of me for being a bad booker, basically. Huh?
But it's the same thing when MJF cut that promo. He was screaming at the camera with all them obscurities, like, you know what I mean? Cursing.
But he was wrong by saying he's the minute by minute draw and all. It was someone being. What sold us on that promo was the anger of it, not the information, not the facts. Him going full Ric Flair is what made that promo memorable, not him saying I'm the biggest minute by minute draw, all that, because we saw him as champion. That wasn't the case. When he got the chance to say what he was as the guy who hits the home runs out of the park, that didn't deliver. Again, ratings didn't go up with him as champion. So his pipe bomb, much like CM Punk's pipe bomb, didn't do work for them because after the CM Punk pipe bomb, his ratings didn't go up the few weeks after.
It's you're right. The whole point of that was to get the ratings up.
Like, oh shit, he said that. Not I got to see what's happening next week because it doesn't work like that.
He's a millennial, obviously, because he always on Twitter and he going back and forth like, dog, you do moron shit. I'm not gonna sit up here and say you're a moron. You do moronic shit. Like, all right, O'Shea Jackson, I'm gonna be passive aggressive with you about something you said about wrestling because you don't know this person. It's like, dude, and he broke it down, and other podcasts broke it down. Oh yeah, you all do. I mean, look, you, O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Floyd Mayweather. That's not bad company. So,
and Oscar winner Daniel Kaluuya.
Look, that's 4 people, so that ain't bad company at all. But with him, he was like, yo, I don't know this person. And he didn't mean it in a disrespectful way. It's like, yeah, unless you really tap into that side, you're not going to know who these people are because he said the same exact thing I'm about to say. And David just said, there is no fucking story to know exactly who they are. You got to have a story. New Japan, if we had more time, I could have promo about New Japan booking, but I mean, there ain't nothing to say. They got 5 people over there.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Like, bro, when Matt Riddle get the title over the president, you know you in deep waters. I'll take you to the waters and drown you, and that's New Japan right now.
I'm gonna take you to the deep water
and drown you.
And I'm going to drown you.
They gotta live on
the ship is sinking, like you always say. The Titanic. They're playing the music on the Titanic.
Shit be sinking, boss. That's why they got to get that AEW money, bro. Eventually, they just gonna be like, you know what, fuck it. We about to go to America. So it's America, Japan, pro wrestling. Like at this point, we got to just go to America and just work with AEW.
New Japanese wrestling. ANJPW.
That might be the title. I don't know. You pick the title, but that might be the title. Because it's like, bro, you get again, I don't fuck with Matt Riddle. He might be a cool person, but I don't fuck with him. Yeah. When he goes over, gets the title that the president had, that he got from Zack Sabre Jr., it might be an issue here. Now,
no, because I just said this on Lyric Show real quick that they think they have better things planned for Zack Sabre Jr. We'll wait and see. So Tanahashi did the Triple H thing of like, listen, this title will be better on me at the moment. But Tanahashi knows, like, I can't wrestle week to week. I'm a transitional champion. I'm going to lose this to someone else eventually. But he still ended Zack Sabre Jr.'s year-long title reign to be Triple H about it, like to take the shine off of one guy, even though you know you're not going to do nothing as champion. Basically, like Triple H in 2016 when he won that title at the Rumble and knew he was just going to drop it to Roman back. It was just, I need the shine real quick. And yeah, I'm going to do what I want because I can.
Right. And I'm not even mad at that. But then you knew what was going to happen. I can't, because when you take that position, pause, you already know the power that you have. Mm-hmm. So for him to do that.
That's why Ospreay split like Okada's splitting.
Because they see the writing on the wall. They see the writing on the wall. Like it's getting bad. Like I'm not going to sit up here and say they're going to run out of money. But eventually they might run out of money.
It's the name will always have cachet. And this is why Jay White left last year, not just because it was for AEW. And I said this, like these guys will kind of prefer to live their lifestyle wherever they live. And it's mainly America because it's, you just said at the start of the show, it's always Florida where these guys live. But they know there's a ceiling if you're a Gaijin in New Japan. You can be a champion. Again, Kenny Omega was a champion. AJ Styles was a champion. Jay White was a champion. But you're not getting that long title run for years and years and years. Or you're not getting it multiple times again. Will Ospreay, he won his world title. He had to vacate due to his neck injury. He never got that title back.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega, he dropped his title knowing that they were going to go start AEW, but he also knew, like, I should have been champion a year ago, and they fucked this up. Jay White knew in the 2 years he was kind of in middling New Japan that, like, I should have been champion already again. Like, they gave him the champion title right away. In 2019, he dropped it at the Madison Square Garden show. It took him 3 years to get it back. And he was probably like, nah, I should have been champion. You can't just rely on Okada. And I think Okada knew that stuff, like, because that's why everyone's saying, like, he didn't put any guys over. But I think Okada, like, because no guy's fucking ready for me to put them over. Like, because you relied on me too much.
Exactly. And then, I mean, also having my guy over there get the title. They got a lot of titles. IWGP title. What's his name? Nick Name? Yeah. Well, Nick Namath?
Yeah.
Like, nah, bro. You already know what I say. His mama called him Dolph. I'm going to call you Dolph. For him to get the title, that's not surprising. You know what I mean? This is his, essentially, I think it is his very first match with New Japan to get the title. Same with Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
And
no, Matt Riddle had the well, I mean, in New Japan, because he wrestled at the New Japan USA show in San Jose.
Yeah. I see all that match, but I'm saying, like, I mean, like, official New Japan. For them to get the title off the bat, that's not a bad choice because, of course, you're going to get eyes to go over there. The problem is now, like I've been saying with New Japan, they keep having the white guys come over there and they get shine over the Japanese talent. Now, in Japan, I don't know how much that's going to go over. I don't think they like it particularly.
No, they like it to an extent because it's seen, because the way it was seen back in the day when, like, the Funks did it and the Steve Williams of the world or the Vaders, it's like they had a different type of energy and the crowd bought that right away. But no matter what, they were still going to root for the homegrown, hometown guys. But they loved outsiders. But they just knew at the end of the day, they're still going to prefer their own original guys no matter what.
Right, and that's how it's supposed to be anyway.
Yeah.
But no, New Japan is just, they don't have anybody there. And then, we'll see how everything happens for what it is. But I don't like what's going on over there. I still got to watch the show with Daniel Bryan versus was it Zack Sabre in that match?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to still watch that pay-per-view. I still got to watch that pay-per-view. Yeah. Because I listened to a podcast she was on, shouts out to Lyric, but I got to watch that. And I got to download. I got to watch that pay-per-view. I'll probably do it today, maybe.
She was right insane because she said this, like, they had David Finlay beat Moxley and Will Ospreay to win this title, and then he loses it to Nick Nemeth. And Nick, like you said, Nick Nemeth's first match. She's like, how does that make this title look good? How does that make David Finlay look good? How does this make sense when the new outsider can just come in, beat this guy who was made to look unbeatable because he just beat two of the best wrestlers in the world, and they just won that War Dogs versus United Empire match in the cage. She was like, now David Finlay looks, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, now your wrestlers look like idiots, and I get mad at wrestling when people are made to look like idiots. That was the whole point of the Wardlow promo. He looked like an idiot because he had to go out and say I was badly booked. But it's like, well, you were a 3-time TNT champion, so I mean, yes, you were badly booked every single time, but like the guy who's giving you permission to go out there and cut that promo, he looks like the idiot for booking you that way. And for you to say that on a mic in front of the crowd and us watching at home, it's like, yeah, this is bad. This doesn't make sense. This is why this guy is a bad booker at the end of the day. And people are like, and mad about the whole Malachi Black situation, how he seems like he's phoning it in because he's upset about his the way he was being used, like Andrade was. So his match with Brian Keith last night was so. I mean, I thought it was fine. There were definitely moments in that match where he didn't seem like he could execute certain stuff. And granted, they were like, this is his first single match in over a year and a half. But I'm like, if Tony Khan had booked them better and not been infatuated by every new toy he gets, then maybe these guys would care more. Maybe these women would care more. That's always the thing. He signs a new one, and then the ones he just signed get pushed to the back.
Yeah, and I think with Okada, because it's basically done that he's going over there. I think he knows this, but he doesn't care because it's like, all right, I can go over there and work and then fly right back home. That sounds like, and then because Tony Khan is like an open checkbook, he's like, hey, can I get $1 million a year? Yeah, sure, man. Yeah. Get that. Like, yeah, can I get that? And also in yen, like, bro, you actually just gave him more than $1 million US.
It's disheartening for me, like I said, because if I'm going to be watching, I don't want to be angered, but I am, because how can you not? And I'm not just saying I'm some genius at home because I can figure this out. Because if you still have to date with people, it's still a people relations business. Again, you try telling someone you're going to do the job for the third straight time, but at the end of the day, like, if you don't want to do it, then get the hell out of here. There are other people who would kill to be in this position, and that's the part where he isn't good at being a boss, because he gets so scared that they're going to leave for the other side, knowing damn well they're going to get lost in the shuffle on the other side too. What do we think is going to happen? Again, I love Andrade. I hope he's going to succeed in WWE. Are they going to make him IC champion? Are they going to make him world champion?
And he doing his whole mysterious. He tricked y'all too, by the way. He doing his whole little mysterious shit once again, putting on mask and doing all these little video at. It's just like, all right, when you gonna just wrestle, bro? What you really good at? It's just all this mysterious shit. Cut it out, man.
And with him and Malachi, it's funny because the way they were linked with the Zelina Vega of it all, when Triple H thought Andrade was with Zelina, but she was actually Malachi Black the whole time. So they're always kind of linked in a way. These guys, they show up, they get badly booked, then they have an injury, then the injury is not as bad as they reported, but then they still miss a lot of time, and then they come back and they don't like how they're booked right away. So like that was their AEW tenure in a nutshell. And I'm like, I can see why they were getting mad and like, get me the fuck out of here, because if I show up and I do fuck all and then I get hurt, and then when I come back, you got nothing for me, of course I don't want to be here then. Meanwhile, it takes a fucking accusation to get people to admit Chris Jericho's been dog shit like he has been for 3 years to finally get him off TV. And I'm like, that's what it took?
3 since he got the AEW, bro. It's been bad.
I know. But I mean, but they needed him for that first year to build up credibility. But what I'm saying, but like when the credibility was there and his matches weren't hitting at all, to anyone who had fucking eyes, and to people who say like his match with Ospreay, you mean the guy who was voted the best wrestler of the world, who can have a match with a fucking phone book and be entertaining? Like, come on.
Right. And they was like, he dialed it up. No, like Davis just said, he had that match with Will Ospreay. It's just a habit. I'm sorry. He had that match with Will Ospreay. So of course he kept up as much as he could. Balls. It's just like, dude, I don't know what else to say. I think people just don't. I'll say this, and you know,
They're
these are
blindly loyal is what it is. They're blindly loyal.
no people just don't fucking have common sense. The thing about common
No,
sense is it's never been common.
they don't want to be seen on hating what they like because they're afraid for the back. Again, they're afraid of backlash and criticism. And
Online, just close the fucking
because
app.
that's where it's all that matters.
Close the fucking app.
They can't.
Am I taking crazy pills? I invented deleting Twitter. Just delete it.
Bro, again,
The rock starter had to do it because you fucking peons said something about her.
That's different. Just because I'm saying because like really you don't have to take it to that far. Again, like this woman has nothing to do at all. But when you can't say yesterday's match was bad, blah blah blah, because you're scared someone's going to say, no, it's not. You're an idiot. You know what you're talking about, and then therefore you can't say it because they're going to revoke your access and they're going to not give you interviews or anything like that. Then that's when it's like, then why do this at all? Then my whole point is
interview your fucking self. Am I making sense? Anybody here, please leave a comment. Am I making sense? Do an interview. Don't do an interview then. That's what I'm basically saying. Don't do an interview. Just fucking do your work. If you can't get an interview with somebody to get you hits on your podcast, then too fucking bad.
Yeah, my point is, like, I'm not a journalist. You're not a journalist. We're not in it to cover it like a journalist. We are review and opinion based.
Podcast is journalism, but I get what you mean.
No. Do we break news? Do we break stories?
No, but it's still journalism. Being a podcaster, that's the
aspects of it are. But at the end of the day, at the end of this show in particular, what you and I do is reading stories and reacting to them, and then forming our own opinions. It's opinion articles like that. That's when I wrote.
That's journalism too.
No, I'm saying, but not to the extent of like I gotta again. In journalism, you can show your hand in an opinion piece. That's what I'm saying. Like people don't realize you can have your opinion and not or you can just straight relay the news as fair-sided or one-sided as possible. It doesn't matter which side it's on. But what I choose to do is be like an opinion writer, have it like this is a column where like I'm stating my opinion and belief based on the information I've been given. I'm not trying to report or break news or any of that stuff. Like the stuff that said here shouldn't be reported. Like according to this podcast, they said, nah, because I don't have news. I don't have inside information. I am reacting to what I am seeing and hearing. And the people who want to have interviews and have access to do stuff, that's, again, you then become one-sided, like I said earlier, where it's CNN or Fox News, because you have to be on this side fully to have access. Otherwise, they'll take the access away.
Right, exactly. But I'm not in the mindset of I want to interview, so maybe I'm different.
No, I'm the same way. Again, like it would be fun, but at the end of the day, I'm like, these people are going to answer honestly, because then you go into the interview knowing here's what you can't say, here's what you can say. Then what's the point?
Right, exactly. So
I mean, we'll end it on this because they got mad at John Cena for what he said about Vince McMahon, and I agree what he said was stupid. But John Cena knows he can't run from these questions these days. If someone's going to ask John Cena about Vince McMahon, he has to say how he feels. And he said, I still love him as a person. I know what he did was bad, but I still love him as a person because I choose to see the good in him, even though he's a bad person. But that's John Cena trying to basically say, like, this guy made me who I am, gave me the life I have. I kind of owe it to him. And they're right to criticize him because just don't say that. Just say it was disgusting and horrible and horrendous what he did, and hopefully something gets done about it. You know, he can say something like, I know that I interacted with him in different ways, but I'm still disgusted by what happened. That's what Randy Orton said. Like, it's disgusting what happened. And when you read about it, you get sicker and sicker, but I still owe a lot of my life to this guy.
But with Cena, he can't take that approach. I feel you, but he can't take that approach just because they do actually have a friendship. And that's the thing with having a friendship. So, all right, if anybody I was friends with, you, but I'm not going, if it was you. So this is just an example, people. Like if you did something wild, hey, bro, again, like you always quote me when it's like, hey, shit be sinking. That's what it is, bro. I done been in situations with my homeboys. Obviously, they ain't do nothing like this. They did criminal stuff. I'll just say that. Now, if I were to get caught, I wouldn't be on this podcast. But am I going to tell? No. Am I going to say you was stupid? Yeah. Personally, I'll say you was stupid for doing that. But I'm not going to sit up here and just criticize you out to millions of people that will be watching me because I'm John Cena. So I'm not even really mad at the approach he took. I understand why people will be mad, but you can't, if this your man's, no matter what they did, it's fucked up, but you can't just be out here like, yo, you shouldn't have, it's crazy what he did, whoop-de-whoop-whoop, because then I got to have a conversation with you and be like, you going to say to me, bro, why you say that? Well, motherfucker, because you out here wilding out, being a sexual deviant. But why you had to say that in public if we supposed to be friends, bro? Like, when you have a friendship, relationship, personal relationship with somebody, your spouse, that's a friendship in this nutshell. Me having a relationship with you, platonic, of course, even though you're handsome, it's a friendship. But if Davis was out here wilding, any of my friends that's watching this or anybody in general was wilding, hey, that's my dude. I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. I'm going to play stupid. I'm from the era of don't
That's
snitch.
the thing. He couldn't.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know what he was doing. Oh, that's crazy. Like, I hit you with that's a crazy ASAP. He was like, what? With women? Dog, that's my boy. He wouldn't do that. We got to see what's going to happen. But with him, because it's millions and millions of the John Cena fans watching him, it would be hard for him to be like, damn, that's why I heard about it, but I ain't know. That's my boy. Because
or the no comment aspect of like, I can't comment. Because then you get looked at, as a coward, you're protecting him. And that's why his approach overall is always both sides. John Cena is always like support the troops, but like war is still bad. You know what I mean? Like his brother's a cop, but he agrees that like there's injustice among the police force. Like that's the way John Cena kind of is wired, to where like he is both sides in a way. Like, he basically did that whole America PSA about that years ago, where he was like, America is a great place where freedom of speech exists and gay rights exist, and you have the right to be.
Remember what he said about his brother before.
Yeah. But
that's what I'm saying. So he's had to walk things back before, and it's like, damn.
Yeah. Well, like most people do when you get older and realize you said stupid shit in the past, and you don't try, and you really try not to run from it. Like yeah, I said stupid shit. I got to own up to it,
Right. So he can't say this because I think, him and Vince are really like friends. And it's like, bro, I can't just bury this man because he going to hit my line, or he going to come see me personally and be like, bro, why you say that? Like, I'm out here wilding. I know, but you didn't have to say that, because obviously people know about that. Because he definitely know where the cemetery is. All right. He know the barn where the cemetery is. Ain't no skeletons in the closet. When you got accusations like this and you're a multi-billionaire, nah, bro, you got a cemetery. So he got the keys to the cemetery to open the gate up where all the bodies are buried. So he can't just be out here just like, yo, hey, it is what it is. That's what he can't hit one of those. I would, because that's my man's. Hey, man, listen, we ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life.
And that's the other aspect, is if you were just to abandon him completely, then there are the other people who look at him like, see, in times of need, people will always just abandon you at your lowest. And then it's like, well, when something like that, maybe you should.
Exactly.
He was put in a tough spot, but he also said the wrong thing. Again, when someone's being accused of that, like, just say like, again, like what he said, like, it's disgusting what he did, and I can't condone that at all. And that I never. That's, again, you can say like, that's not the man I knew, like what people said about the redacted Wolverine, like that wasn't the guy I knew, or anyone who's committed something like that. But he was wrong to say what he did. Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I said, I got friends that got criminal past. At the end of the day, bro, if you out here wilding, don't tell me that you wilding, and then I find out. Let me be surprised with everybody else. So with Cena, maybe he didn't know. Because a lot of people apparently didn't know this was going on, but a few people knew that this was going on. But in the case of Cena, it's like, I get it, bro. Like I'm actually on his side because you're like, bro, you can't just be out here like, you know what I mean? Oh, he tripping, whoop de whoop whoop. Like with Randy, what he said was best because he probably doesn't have that close relationship with Vince like John Cena. So it's like he
But
can
then
say
remember that
that.
Randy Orton was the guy who had the past of shitting in women's purses and fucking up their bags and mistreating them. So that's also the guy who really is reformed for doing things on a lower level, but within that realm.
Yeah, and he apologized for it too. So it's just when you get older, you start realizing like, damn, I did some stupid shit, especially with him because he's been famous for 20 plus years now. But when somebody that's been probably doing this, being Vinnie Mac, been doing this shit for God knows how long, maybe 30, 40 years at this point, somewhere around that, it's like, what can you say? Because you the last person that know where the cemetery is, being John Cena, if he that close to him, which it seems to be the case, because Pat gone, the other people are gone. The Brooklyn Brawler, if he know what's going on, he ain't gonna talk. So for Cena to say he's more famous than them, it's like, is John Cena famous? No disrespect, and is Pat Patterson famous? R.I.P. John Cena is outside of wrestling now. Obviously, he did this Howard Stern interview because he got to promote a movie. So it's like, dude, we two different aspects.
And it's Howard Stern, and you know what type of questions he's going to ask. So he knew what he was getting into. He knew, you know.
Oh, again, if this was the 90s, he'd be like, shit, I did more than that.
Yeah. Not saying like he knew what he was involved with. I mean, he also did that because Kiki had sent me the clip. He did a Funny Marco interview, and he asked him about the hood, and John Cena said it's a device on your sweatshirt. And then he said, well, to me, the hood is crack and this and that. So John Cena's making the rounds these days.
Wait, he did Funny Marco?
Yeah.
Cena?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Funny Marco about it here. I knew he was getting to that fame level, but I didn't know he was going to get to that fame level.
Funny Marco asked, like, so would you want to live in my hood? And John Cena's like, I wouldn't. No.
That's crazy. Hey, shouts out to Funny Marco, bro. I got to look for that interview. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it just dropped because she had sent me the clip. So that's it for this week. Again, we were only trying to go about an hour or so. We're trying to get it shorter as of late anyway, about 90 to 2 hours. 90 minutes to 2 hours, I should say. Sorry about that. But we'll be back next week. We didn't talk about Players Club on today's episode. We will on the next one, along with some other Black films I had watched for the first time. Thanks, I both watched Book of Clarence. We'll be talking about that and some other films. But thank you all for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, all that. Banks has been doing a great job. Like I always say, cutting the clips. Thank you all for tuning in. Those have been doing great. And yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Peace.